Hey y'all, today we're making some barbecue ranch chicken casserole. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is get your pasta cooked. I'm using one box, 12 ounces of this bow tie pasta. You want to cook it until it's just undercooked, so about a minute less than what the box tells you to, because we don't want it to get mushy in the oven. And speaking of oven, go ahead and preheat your oven to 350. So then the recipe, I found it on Pinterest. It calls for a half a cup of cooked bacon. I'm not going to measure the bacon, y'all. I did like 6 pieces and I cooked them in the oven until they were a little bit more crispy than normal, just because I don't like chewy bacon. I don't like chewy bacon anytime, but I really didn't want chewy bacon in this recipe. That's personal preference. You do however you want to do it. Once your noodles are done, you're going to drain those. I said noodles, your bow tie pasta, and put them in a bowl. And then this chicken, the recipe called for 3.5 cups of shredded chicken. When I get the big packages of chicken from Sam's, oops, look, I can't hold on to nothing. I like to, at least one of the big packs, I put it in the crock pot. I trim it up, put it in the crock pot, season it up, and then I cook it and shred it, and then I put it in freezer bags and stick it over in the freezer. It makes my life so much easier when I'm making a recipe that calls for shredded chicken. You know, easy things like quesadillas and stuff, you could just pull a little bit of the chicken out of the freezer, and then it's an easy night, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't have to sit there and cook all the chicken, wait for it to cook and all that. So, but do how you want to, but I'm just telling you, not technical meal prepping, I guess, but ingredient prepping. You can also do that with bacon. You can take one of the really big packs of bacon, cook it all up, and then put it in the freezer and just pull it out when you need it. And then this recipe, all you would have had to do was cook the noodles. So, you know, just something to think about. And y'all excuse me if I sound kind of snarfly because I'm still sick. You know, I can't get over this mess. 2 weeks now. I feel okay, but I just sound terrible. So then I'm adding in here some minced onion, and y'all know I love onion, but I'm not adding real onion because we don't cook this very long, and I don't want big chunks of crunchy onion. So then I added in 1 can of corn that I drained, and then 1 can of diced tomatoes. They're the petite diced. I did not drain those, but they didn't have a lot of juice in them. So if you're using a can of tomatoes that has a lot of juice, you might want to drain some of that off. And then we're just going to mix this up. Y'all, excuse me. I was thinking when I was making this would be really good if you added some black beans in it too. But, you know, just an idea. So now we're going to add our binding ingredients together, right? So I'm using some of this Ken's ranch dressing. You can use whatever kind of ranch dressing you want. Great Value, you know, whatever. Whatever you like, that's what you use. You need a cup of it, okay? So we're going to add that right over in there. And I know this sounds like a crazy ingredient list, y'all. But trust me, somehow the flavors all work together, okay? They work. They just work. And I love me a good casserole. I made a John Wayne casserole last week, and I will link that for y'all, you know, in case you want to check that one out, because it was also super delicious. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm kind of folding this, and the reason I'm doing that is not because I'm trying to be gentle, it's because my darn bowl ain't big enough. This is the biggest glass bowl I have, and I didn't realize when I started how big this was going to get, you know? So get a very big bowl, because this is a lot of stuff. But I didn't want to dirty up another bowl because I'm lazy, so I just went with it. So now we're going to add in our barbecue sauce, about 3/4 of a cup. I'm using Sweet Baby Ray's. You can use whatever kind of barbecue sauce you like. Now y'all know I like the Kinder Seasonings, and I did finally find the Kinder's barbecue sauce, and it is delicious. I just got some of that, but you know, so if you've been on the fence or you been thinking about trying it, because if you're like me and you're obsessed with Kinder Seasonings, try the barbecue sauce. It's really good. So anyway, again, mix everything in between. And the reason I'm doing it mostly is because I knew my bowl wasn't going to be big enough for me to try to mix all that stuff together at one time and actually get it mixed good. So once I got that mixed in, I'm going to add in a couple of handfuls, maybe 2 cups-ish. You know, you see I'm not measuring it. but a couple handfuls of shredded cheddar cheese. Now you can use whatever kind of cheese you want. If you want to use pepper jack, would be really good in here, y'all. And another thing that I wanted to use ro-tel tomatoes, but I didn't have any, and I thought I had a can of diced green chilies, but didn't have that. I need to go to the grocery store, y'all. So I used a regular can of tomatoes, as you saw, but when I make this again, I will definitely either have the ro-tel or the diced green chilies, because I just love the flavor that gives, especially mixed with like this ranch and the bacon and the barbecue sauce. It would have been really good to add some of that. You could add other things in here too. Like I said, black beans. You could add some jalapenos in here. It's good, y'all. But, you know, again, if you don't want to add corn in there, don't add the corn in there. You know, it's up to you. It's yours. Make it how you want to. I'm just giving you inspiration. I'm just giving you some inspiration. But a casserole like this, you really can kind of swap things out if you want to. So once I got it mixed up, in that step of mixing, I went ahead and added just a little bit of seasoning, added some garlic, onion, salt, and pepper. I didn't want to add too much seasoning because you've got the really bold flavors in there, like the ranch and the barbecue sauce already. And this is another time that I didn't want all the seasonings kind of fighting with each other, and then it ended up being some kind of weird muddled mess, you know what I'm saying? So just once you get your little seasonings put in there, and again, you can put whatever kind of seasonings you want, just get that mixed up real good. You just want to make sure that you don't want to bite into this, what I'm trying to say, and get nothing but a big bite of barbecue sauce or nothing but a big bite of ranch dressing. You know what I mean? You want it to be really good and mixed up. So then you're going to spray your 9x13 pan, and this makes a huge amount, but if you need a smaller amount, I was feeding other people when I made this, but if you need a smaller amount, then you can definitely half this and make it in an 8x8 pan if you wanted to. So just another thought, you know. So anyway, you're going to put this in your casserole dish, and then we're going to spread it out, you know, even. And then we're just going to top it. We're not going to chop it. Don't chop it. We're going to top it with a little bit more cheese. And again, with the cheese, you can do whatever kind you want. If you wanted to add some jalapenos on top of it, you could certainly do that. Whatever you want to do. And again, I'm using just plain old cheddar cheese, but use whatever kind of cheese you like, okay? If you don't have bow tie pasta, use macaroni noodles, you know, use penne pasta, use whatever you have. It doesn't have to always be exactly. If you find a recipe and you're like, oh, I have everything, but I don't have that kind of noodle or that kind of pasta. I call everything a noodle. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like, just swap it out for what you do have. You know, that's the best thing about cooking. It's your kitchen. You cook it how you want to. It doesn't have to be exactly like somebody else does it. So once you get your stuff topped with cheese, you're going to pop that in the oven. Only needs to bake 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 or 20 minutes. That's it. All you're doing is warming it through and melting your cheese. And I know it doesn't look like much. It's not real pretty to take a picture of, but y'all, this stuff is delicious. The flavors are so good. So you have to try it. All right, that's all I've got for y'all today. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Bye, y'all.